In this video help tutorial, what we're going to be discussing is using FileMaker Go to install the application from the cloud. We're going to be using the hosts down here. It currently is in device for local. When you open up FMGo, what it normally does is it allows you to go to recent, or it starts at recent, and I'm going to have to get used to this. I have to tap by over here on an actual iPad, and what I'm doing is I'm using the cursor to point out the things that you need to see. This little guy gets in the way, but we'll just have to work with it. So this is the recent, and this is the applications that you've opened recently. Usually when you click on them, what it'll do is it'll just open them in FMGo, and then you're able to go ahead and manage using the application whatever one you pick. For example, I have consignment, different versions of consignment that I've worked with people, and there's several of them in here. Okay, let's go ahead and walk through the process. If you're going to install this as a client for the server, the first thing you need to do is add the host for that server. What happens when you work with me, what I do is I tell you which server you're on, and what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to add the host server. In this case, I'm going to drop the keyboard and I'm going to say cancel this. And it's going to be a little difficult here with me, right? Oh, I know why, because I'm not tapping again. You have to tap on the actual iPad. Say cancel this, and now what we need to do is come up here to where it says host, and you tap on that. When you tap on the host, you look down through the different servers that are shown for this particular. And what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to repeat this, only we're going to be using a different server. In this case, I'm going to add a server, and this is something you may run into. I'm going to pause this for a second, and then I'm going to come back and show you how to do this. As I brought up the screen on my browser that has the login, and this is important for you to understand, when I send you the actual URL for the actual server, we're only going to be using a portion of it. The one that you're using on the actual browser has this information right here, the n444fmphost.com. That is what we're going to need to add on the FMGo on the iPad. So I'm just going to copy that. If you're using the browser, it needs to have the HTTPS and so forth, and then a /FMI, and then WEB and pound key. When you log in, you're going to be using the login for your account name and your password. Typically what happens is when you open this, it'll come up and it'll show you the actual screen. You may be required to log in twice. Sometimes it requires it depending on the server you're on. Okay, let's go back and look at where we're at over here. We're on the application, and we're going to add a new host. So we have to come up here, and we're going to tap. We're going to go ahead, and at this point, we're going to add the account name, which is the name that I provide to you for logging in on the server. So go ahead and put that in this line, and put the password that you were provided. And if this was a local app used on the iPad where you have the file, you could go ahead and click on this, and it would save your ID to the keychain. What that does, and I tapped on it myself, I'm going to do it anyhow for the server, and what it's going to do is it's going to allow it so next time you go to log in, all you have to do is click on the name of the application, and it's going to take you right to the server, no problem. So let's go ahead and say I'm going to pause again and put the password username in, the one I'm using as a default, and then we'll find at the next stop when we start it again, then we'll go ahead and log into the application. The password in there. Let's go ahead and log in by tapping on the login. And what it'll do is it'll bring up the application on the server for that password. And then what you do is you go ahead and tap on that. And see, this is what I was talking about before. It's going to require you to log in again. And what I'm going to do is go ahead and pause again and then log in. Okay, I'm logging in again by tapping on it. Okay, and what it's going to do is it's going to bring up the application, and now the application is on the screen. What you can go ahead and do now at this point is start using it. I'm going to point out one other thing on this particular application, and most of them, there's going to be a place where you can go ahead and do the videos for this application, and you're going to tap on the Do Action button. It's going to bring this up. You're going to go down here, and it says Video Help. You're going to tap the Video Help. And what that's going to do is it's going to bring it up on the the application on the screen, and now you can go ahead and run the different videos that explain how to use this application. When you're done on this area, what you want to do is go down here to the bottom where it says Done, tap Done, and that'll take you back into the application again. And now you're going to back in here where you can actually utilize the information you just learned on the other screen. To hide any of these, all you have to do is tap on the button again, and it hides that, or tap in an open area. I want to point out one thing on this application. When you're leaving the server, you need to tap on the logout button over here at this area. That'll take you out of the application, and then you're off the server, and you're back here where you can go back in. You can either do a local or a hosted application again. In this case now, you'll see that here is the server application, and it's back on here. All I have to do now is tap on there and then log in again, go right back into the application again from the iPad. Now, if there were a number of people using this application where we wanted to add multiple serial numbers, or not serial numbers, but logins, you would have to provide those logins that you want, and I can get on the server and go ahead and add them on the application. You cannot do it yourself from the application. Okay, and there's one other thing I'm going to cover over here. You'll see up in the corner there's a gear. If you tap on the gear, sometimes it's a little hard to get it to tap. It'll give you some things in here like you can manage the keychain. You can get help on how to use this application. In this case, you don't have to register FileMaker Go. It's not necessary. And then there's a tour of the interface and how to use the entire FM Go application. So you might want to take that tour. It's really a good way to manage this. Now, obviously, if you're on the iPad, all you have to do is push the round button, and you're out of this particular area here as far as the application is concerned.